Hello, welcome to Professional Weirdness, the show about anything and everything weird. Hello, Jody. Jody's with us, and Cynthia. Hello, how are you doing?
Hey, we're doing good.
Hello. All right, today we've got something very special for you. We have back our great friend Daniel Flowerdew, and he's here to talk about some information you might have not have ever heard, especially in the New Age community. He's a licensed massage therapist and certified weird shit specialist, and he's here to talk about an issue that almost everybody on earth has, and you might not know about it. So without further ado, here is the one and only Daniel Flowerdew. Welcome,
Hello,
Daniel.
everyone. Hello, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be back here, and I gotta tell you, I was drinking water when you said a certified bridget specialist, and I almost spit it out. That just made me so happy. I was sitting back here cracking up. So, thank you.
Yeah, all right. So let's get started. I've got a little presentation to help kick us off. Let's bring it up on the screen. All right, the Chakra Con. So, what is that, Daniel? What are chakras really all about? Tell us.
Okay, a lot of amazing places to start here. So I'm going to start back at the very beginning. Okay, so this goes way past the Ayurvedic practices. It goes way past the Hindu literatures. And I know the names of all of them, but for some reason they're blanking right now, so they must be important. But back when there was genetic manipulation taking place with the human genome, there were a group of entities that were behind it that intentionally put chakras as well as kundalini and astral bodies into the individual. Today we're just going to talk about chakras because there's a lot there to unpack in and of itself. Now, I will say that I worked with chakras myself for years. I totally fell for the Chakra Con myself until I ended up finding Laura Lee. She was the first person to ever tell me, you might want to look at getting rid of those. Now, what chakras are supposed to do, according to tradition, they are wheels of energy that align the spine, and they're supposed to be associated with certain glands in the body. Glands or important issues such as the heart, the third eye, the throat, the thyroid, parathyroid glands. Now, one thing they don't teach, though, is that this separates your energy. It keeps them separated into 7 different unique areas. One thing I like to tell people, because it makes me laugh, is that having chakras is like taking a psychic vampire to the ice cream shop, right? Anyone who's good at manipulating energy or manipulating people, they can look at the different colors and choose what flavor of louche they want to eat. So they can choose either green apple grief, strawberry suffering, sexual trauma citrus, whatever they want to feed off of. It just really opens a person up into... It does a lot more than this, but it opens a person up to be more easily manipulated. Another thing that chakras do that most people don't know about is that when a person intentionally works with the chakras, they end up emitting a certain toxin or poison into the nervous system and the bloodstream. What this does is it gives you a very euphoric feeling, makes you feel like, oh, everything is so great, like the picture of the cartoon with the dog in the coffee shop and he's drinking his tea, the building's on fire, and he's like, oh, this is fine. It really changes a person's perspective. So they're no longer focusing or even being aware of what is in the present moment. It gets colored over with all of these colors, frequencies, and sequences of light. Does that does that help answer your question? So
yeah, and let's talk about this picture, because this is, those were the pretty foo-foo pictures, and now here's what somebody who could see energy, Barbara Brennan, saw when she looked at chakras, which is what she saw. So let's talk about this picture. What's going on here, this guy?
Okay, so here in this picture, you can see now in the Vedic books, that's the word that I was looking for earlier, the chakras are supposed to be like flowers, right? So what you see here is you have the root flower that's opened up and emitting energy. You have the sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and then the crown up in the very center. Now, so that's basically what this picture is depicting. It's depicting that the basic parts of that system that's supposed to bring the energy from your higher self or from spiritual wisdom down into the root or the earth level, the physical level, is supposed to bring them all together in harmony. So that's pretty much what you're seeing here. Is you're seeing that depiction of the basic mechanics of the chakra system. So that's that's what that picture is supposed to show. Now, when I look at this, what I see is I do see trumpets. They don't look like flowers to me. They look like trumpets. They look like musical instruments, and it just makes me wonder who's playing it. Where's the wind coming from? If you look at this system, it's very closed off. There's no real connection with that individual. So it's like, what energy, so when people see the crown chakra, it's supposed to bring in cosmic energy into your body. Well, there are a lot of very nasty cosmic energies out there. So you can literally be pulling in energy from mass consciousness down through your body and using that to play the music of these chakras. So that's pretty much what's happening.
It looks like it's not really. It looks like it's not really associating with you much. It's more like it's close to you. Your own energy is close to you, but it's like it's just out there for anybody, any psychic vampire or weird energy to either come in or out. It's not a closed loose system like I think we used to be. Yeah.
Exactly.
So how long has this been going on? When did we get these things?
So we got these things back at the very beginning when the human genome was being experimented on. So for those people who are watching this who know the term Anunnaki, it goes way back to them. Now, real quick, I do want to say that yes, Enki was sadly a part of this, but he was coerced into it. He had no part in it. There was a bad Enki, but there is also a good Enki as well. And they used his technology and coerced him into it. He actually put safe places in that helped us to eventually get to the point where we could look past these systems and get out of them. Now, each person, as it shows here with the picture of the baby, each person is born with the chakras to one degree or another. I have seen one other person that was born with only 4 chakras. And then they did force the other ones into place. I myself only had 6. I didn't have a solar plexus. And when I got into doing chakras, I was like, oh, that's wrong. I'm supposed to have something there. So I tried so hard to create it. And that ended up being the hardest one for me to eventually get rid of. But yeah, plants even have chakras. Animals do. It doesn't matter if you have a duck, chicken, dogs, cats, snake, I don't know, Uromastyx, a lizard, whatever. It doesn't matter. Everything is born with these chakras in them. Not just the people who, like humans, we have this special ability to tap into our creative abilities and to be able to create energy. I'm sure scientists would like to disagree with that because you cannot destroy, so how can you create? Well, so this has been going on for thousands of years. If you look throughout the hologram's history, the Anunnaki, I believe, took place about 10,000 years ago. So this has been in place for a long time. It's been passed down through many different traditions. Even in certain Buddhist texts, it does talk about the chakra system. They had a slightly different depiction of it, but it was still, like this picture, it still had the flowers, it still had, certain symbology that was associated with each one. Um, so yeah, it's been going on for a long, long time. But
But Daniel, have they done? Does it actually do anything good for us at all, or is it just all a lie?
I really don't think they do anything good for us. Whenever I feel into it, whenever I look into this system, it just divides our energy. It puts toxins and poisons into us. In a lot of ways, it can even block a person from accessing their psychic abilities and their ability to take back their life and to take back their power. They create a placebo effect when it comes to healing. People will think that they're having these tremendous, deep healings of trauma or karmic issues, whatever. But because of the chakras, they keep coming back over and over and over again. It's like a constant loop, a constant system. So I'm really inclined to say that there's nothing beneficial to the chakras at all. It's just, and the thing about the chakras too is they're supposed to be based on the 7 colors of light from the spectrum that we can see. So it doesn't put into account all the ultraviolet. It doesn't put into account all the infrared. It only is the small amount that we can see. And if you talk to anyone who knows about the our ability to see and what's really out there, they'll tell you that we only see I forgot the exact number, but it's like 10, 15% of everything that's going on around us. So since we are here, what's the point of having such a limited system? Yeah. Long story short, I don't think there's anything good to them.
Yeah, you might feel a little bit better about. Yeah, you might feel a little bit better about when you balance them. But why should you have to balance something at all if it's your natural energy system? Like, why does it need maintenance? It should just work, So,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's almost as if they created this specifically so they could have access to us so that they can manipulate us and possibly harm us or, lose our energy, right? It just gives them access to our energetic system. And like you said, can poison us and all this stuff. I mean, it makes so much sense when you really start looking at, how the world really works. And who's created this hologram. It makes total sense because this is how they can manipulate all of us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
In chakra theory, each chakra is associated with some sort of trauma as well, or something that can block it. A perfect example is the heart, which is grief, right? The opposite of love and expansion, is grief, because you're suffering, you're locked down, you can't feel anything else, right? So to anyone who is proficient enough to read a person, even if they can't read the chakras give them a very easy way to be like, oh, okay, I see that they have a very high amount of lack of self-worth. I see they really talk a lot of trash about themselves, or I see they're really unstable when it comes to relationships. And they can use that information to throw someone completely off. Now, if someone is a master at this, and this is where narcissists come in, even, not to get too off topic, but also ghost gangsters or, shove-ins, shove-ons, false light beings, ETs, egregores even, they can all access these systems and manipulate us through them, almost like a puppet on string. And what's worse is that we end up thinking that we're the ones that came up with the idea. We're the ones that think, oh, okay, well, we're doing this because this is what we want to do.
We're so enlightened to be doing something with these chakras, right?
A lot of people don't know that you can get rid of them. They don't even know it's an option. So, sorry, go ahead, Kelsey.
Yeah. It's like, I always say, ancient does not equal authentic. Like things weren't perfect back then and they're not perfect now. And it doesn't mean that just because they've been doing this for thousands of years that it's the right thing to do. So that's what, clued me in. And then also seeing those pictures that doesn't look very nice. That doesn't look flowery. And you start to realize that. Yeah. All right. So let's, does anybody have any more questions about the old system before we get into the new? Yeah.
Before we get into this part, yeah, no worries. You know,
Okay.
at this point, there's probably going to be a lot of people watching this thinking, oh, you know, but maybe I can change the chakras for myself. Maybe I can take back this system and, you know, make it into something healthy. Well, I can tell you that I tried doing that and it didn't work. I have met tons of other people who have tried to do it and it didn't work. These systems, you know, the chakras, kundalini, and astral bodies, they're not made to help you. They're made to service someone else, to helping themselves to you. So if you're questioning this, you know, just ask your body, you know, and I understand, you know, when I was first introduced to this, it took me 4 years before I finally was like, okay, my body, do we actually need these chakras? Do they actually benefit us? And my body straight up said, heck no, get rid of those suckers. And so I did, but it took me years. It took me years. Even though when I first heard it, I knew right away that it was right. I knew it was true, you know. And that's another thing as well, you know, people want to say in the New Age community, oh, this feels good, so it must be true. Well, you know, sometimes the truth does not feel good at first. Sometimes it's really hard to take. Sometimes it's not easy. So really take your time through this. You know, we're digging right in here and getting right into the meat of the topics here. So if you need more information on any of this, go to my blog that I wrote, or there's tons of videos and stuff. So if you're still hooked up on that first part, just, you know that there's resources out there. The age of nescience is over. We are swimming with information and a lot of misinformation and a lot of, you know, BS out there, you know, belief systems, BS. So always trust your intuition, trust your gut, and trust your nose. You've got a nose for a reason. Sniff it out, and you will find your next best step. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay, that's perfect. I'm glad you added that. Yeah, and if you're not, you know, comfortable with this right now, we'll get into it a little later, but you can always have the intention to close them and then tap into your original system too and see if you like that better, if that feels right. So, you know, it almost think of it, I think it's been described as like closing a camera aperture. Just close those trumpets and just, you know, intend for them to be closed and to only have your own, you know, energy and consciousness, or only beneficial things come in or something, and then just see how that feels for a little bit, and then you can open them back up if you hate it. Oh, and of course, get in touch with this new system we're going to talk about too, and see if that feels better. If you feel like your abilities are activated, do you feel more healthy, you feel more vibrant, more in the world. So let's talk about these systems. Let's start with this picture right here. These are the stars. So tell us what this picture is depicting right here.
Okay, so this picture is our authentic original energy system. This is the system that all animals are supposed to have and all humans, okay? So here you have, at the center, you have the heart core star, and it's pretty big. You know, it's your center of purity. It's also symbolic of your spiritual levels, your spiritual body. And that loops up into the crown star, which is your thoughts, perceptions, filters, basically how you see and work with the world around you and within you. And then that goes back down to the heart, and then it goes down to the loin star, which, you know, it's not just your sexual energy. It's also tying into what is called suwila, which is I guess you can call it a vibrational word, but it is symbolic of our greatest amounts of authentic passion and enjoyment. All right, so it's our creative abilities, and it brings everything, like this picture here, it brings everything through the heart to be further edified, to be cleared up, so we can continue to work really in greater harmony with ourselves. So that's what that's showing. It's called the Figure 8 Racetrack System, or the Infinity Star System. There's only 3 stars. Okay. My background is covering up my fingers. Okay, yeah, 3. There's only 3. Try doing that back here, and it's like, there's no fingers. So we only have 3 bodies. We have the mental body, the spiritual body, and the physical body. Everything else we experience ties into those 3. So this is your original system. This creates a closed loop of your own authentic energies becoming more and more pristine, becoming more and more clear, becoming more and more united with not only your individual truth, but also being able to work with the world around you, being able to be open to listening to other people's experiences, or sharing your own, even, without giving away your power or taking theirs. So this creates a closed loop system. Now, this also helps grounding into yourself. So a lot of people, when they ground, they'll try to ground into Gaia. I've talked with Gaia, they don't like it. They're like, why ground into the earth when you can ground into your own infinity stars, your own infinite stars? And, you know, I could never be grounded beforehand. When I had the chakras, man, I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day. School didn't start until 8. So I'd have those 4 hours to meditate. I would balance my chakras. I would try to ground and everything. It never worked. It never worked. I was so flighty. I could have just flown out of the school, you know? But once I got rid of those systems and started using this figure 8 racetrack, I'm more grounded into my, into where I'm at. You know, not only my physical location, but where I'm at in my own personal growth. And yeah.
All right, I have a question. So is this system always in us? It's just dormant and overlaid by the chakras, or is this something we have to like reinstall?
A little bit of both. We do have to, the chakras have been there for over 10,000 years, right? So not only is this system dormant, but in a lot of ways you could even say it's atrophied. So it's not at its full power when it first turns back on. So yeah, there is a little bit of reinstalling having to go on, reinstating it, but it's so easy. You know, you literally just give it the command. Once the chakras are gone, you just give it the command that you just want to reinstate and reinstall your authentic energy system. And they'll come right back online, they'll turn on, and it doesn't take them long to get back up to snuff, okay? It doesn't take them long to get energized again and to become fortified and strong. But because this system is so clean, there will be certain implants as well, certain psychic implants that can act as sponges or act as blocks. And it can't stop the flow, but it can hinder it. But generally, once you get rid of those initial blocks and the overlays and all of that junk and the forced agreements, curses, whatever that might be holding it back as well, or childhood traumas, or, you know, but once you deal with those things, you never have to balance it. I have never once had to balance my figure 8 racetrack system.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when I'm looking at this picture, it looks like it goes counterclockwise as it spins. I know it goes up and down and then spins around. What if it goes clockwise too?
Yeah, it can do both.
It can do both, and it can go up and down or down and up, and everything's okay. Because I remember just when I first was learning about this, I'm like, my body, it wanted to go one way over the other. I thought, no, that's not right. So, but it sounds like what you're saying is the person needs to either turn off or remove their chakras before they can activate this adequately. They probably shouldn't do that until they have that step, correct?
Well, they can do it before they get rid of their chakras, but the thing about chakras too is they are very intelligent. they're not just little flowers. They are very intelligent. They're a very old and strong system that have a lot of egregores themselves.
Oh,
They have a lot of intelligence behind them. So if you're activating your figure eight racetrack system, the chakras can try to schmooze you and be like, "Oh, this is us, by the way. Just saying. You know, you've leveled up. You've had some good downloads now, and this is how we feel now."
They're insecure. They get insecure and trying to fool you. Huh? That's
They do. So yeah, the chakras.
Like I just thought I was going to smoosh straws.
They are though. They are. So yeah, the figure eight racetrack can go trying to deal with my. Okay, it can go up and down, left and right, or it can go right, left, down and up. You know. Now, sometimes it is also important for this system to be able to randomly shift back and forth between those. When it does, it normally takes a small period of time to slow it down enough for it to change gears. But this is another great tactic that the figure eight racetrack system has in protecting your energy from the people who are trying to manipulate you.
nice.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right. So let's talk about that. Removing these. Let's say you listen to what I say, what we're saying, and you've looked into it, and you've experimented with closing them down, try to feel into this other system. Let's get started on what you're going to do next. So the first step, it says step 2, but the first step is the egg, like we talked about in our second episode. So let's just review what that egg is and what it does.
All right. So it does a little bit of everything. Okay. Bottom line is it is about truth, justice, and integrity. So when it comes to doing implant removals, I do suggest having rocks as well. See if I can get those up on camera. Rocks, a pendant. And what they'll do is the rocks and the eggs can help you to locate and quarantine any psychic implant that you're going after. So like with the chakras, there's generally 7, and then there's a front and back. There are some people, though, that have a chakra in between their feet on the ground, some that have a chakra that go down into the center of the earth. I've seen people with over 100 chakras. So the rocks and eggs will help you to locate and quarantine all of them. And then after that, then you ask the eggs to put them into quarantine, like I just said, and that will, in essence, shut them down until you go through and read through the full implant removal protocol. That is by far the easiest and best way to get rid of the chakras. I have seen a lot of other techniques for it, and some of them can get a little aggressive. Like I had this one person that I heard of where they actually grabbed hold of chakras and just yanked them out, roots and all. Well, they ended up having some stomach issues and having some pain throughout the body. So I don't recommend doing it that way.
They were study, right?
Yeah. They were fed up with the chakras, and they're like, we're not dealing with these anymore. You're gone. Well, it worked. It worked. Not how I would do it. So yes, first step is getting in touch with the rocks and eggs. They will also help to, if there's anything that you're doing that is not in truth, justice, and integrity, if there's anything that you're doing that's slightly corrupted, the rocks and eggs will not participate, and they can even neutralize it before it gets anywhere. So they are like the best fail-safe to have. It doesn't matter if you're cleansing your food or empowering your water or doing healing work or getting a massage or, whatever. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Getting in touch with the rocks and eggs, always important. Always excellent. It's always excellent.
Okay. Yeah. And let's go over it real quick. So this is a mouthful on here. So when we're calling in an egg, we always want to make sure to call in an original, authentic incorruptible, cryogenetics, badass eggs. And why do we do that? Why do we say all that when we're asking?
Because there's imposters for everything. Like, I'll even use this when I work with my guides, or what I call my summa. I'll always say the original, authentic, uncorruptible. I like uncorruptible because it can undo corruption. And whenever I think of incorruptible, it's like in the Three Amigos, like infamous, right? Like, this is famous and he's infamous. So...
Inconceivable.
Exactly.
I could resist.
But yeah, it doesn't matter if you're working with your guides or the eggs. It's always original, authentic, incorruptible or uncorruptible, uncompromised. Sometimes I'm even adding appropriate.
Upgraded?
And upgraded. Yes.
Upgraded
is always good too.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this is enough to get you a real egg, right? At least.
Yes. It is.
Okay. And then we can add, upgraded, inconceivable, invulnerable, whatever you like, as long as you get the basics.
It's like during like a wrestling match, right? And they're calling out the name of the person, the impeccable, the uncorruptible, the original, the authentic, the one and only cryogenetics badass egg.
The champion.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I picture it like the little M&Ms and the TV ads. The egg walks out.
Exactly.
I'm here. I'm a badass egg.
I'm a badass egg.
Oh, and the assholes run when they see
it. That's great.
Powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the first way to Indigos.com, you can get not only the rocks, but you can also read through the implant removal protocol. The entire thing is on there for free, as well as some other really amazing tools that can help people take back their power and take back their life. So yeah, check out First Wave Indigos, get yourself some rocks in a pendant. If you don't have a lot of money, even just the $15 pendant, but with these rocks, size doesn't matter. You can have a little pebble and it'll be just as powerful as like a 5-pound rock, okay? Or a 20-pound rock, but yeah. But I don't want to think about those because then I'll want to get one of those too. So,
I know. We've seen those. I've seen it. We've seen it. We were just holding it like a baby on our chest. Like, okay, give me the baby. It's so important. It's not like a secret society or, pay this amount of money, but it's for free. And all the steps are there. All the, everything you need to get started is there. And that's what I love about that. All right. So this is a little bit of repeat here. The original system.
So the implant removal protocol is also on the Knights training course, where you can hear from Laura Lee herself, some of the ins and outs of the implant removal protocol. And then it's also in her book, Cryogenetics 2. So it's on there for free, but then there's also these other avenues that will help dive into them a little more deeper.
That's true. I did enjoy when I took the class, and you can buy it like piece by piece too. And you can buy the one that has the implant removal, and you're hearing the master herself, walk you through it too. So that's kind of nice. And then one thing I did for myself too, I recorded it in my own voice, so I could just hold my rocks and close my eyes and just do it. And that's important too, to make it easier for yourself, because talking about spiritual hygiene, this is not a one and done. Like Laura Lee says, you can't just sweep your house and be done with it. Like, there's lots of implants and there's more that come about. So let's talk about why people need.
There's always going to be more dishes. I hate cleaning dishes, but there's always going to be more dishes.
Unless you stop eating, right?
I know, and that's not going to happen.
But Daniel, once you get rid of these chakras, you talk about in your blog how that we still need to keep up on our energetic hygiene. What do you do to keep up on your energetic hygiene if you've gotten rid of the chakras? You're not balancing that anymore. What do you do?
Oh, so many things. smell a flower, go out for a walk in nature, take an Epsom salt bath, working with the rocks and eggs. I mean, you can literally put yourself in an egg and ask it to clear out all of the trauma and debris from your electromagnetic field in your body. And you can literally breathe in and out, breathing all of that out, and the egg will neutralize it once it hits the shower. I like calling it energetic hygiene because it's like taking a shower, right? You can't shower just once in a month and smell like flowers and roses, okay? It just doesn't happen. I don't know anyone that can do that right now. Maybe if we didn't have as many toxins in our food and in the air and everything, maybe then. But right now, I don't know anyone that's at that point. So, you can do that. You can do self-reflexology. Pretty much doing anything that's going to help you to relax and to be prepared for the next step. It's basically like self-help stuff, breathing through it, doing timeline therapies. With energetic hygiene, it's like, let's say you're cleaning your room, right? You can do the regular vacuuming and dusting, right? But every once in a while, you have to take the cabinets out. You have to get behind the furniture. You have to wash the walls, the windows, and it's the same with taking care of ourselves. We can do the eggs and the rocks and, just keep up on general cleaning. And then eventually we do want to go through and do the implant removals for, trash talking voice boxes or anything else that's causing us issues. That's pretty much my take on it. Epsom salt baths are one of my favorite, going to get a manicure or pedicure. That's taking care of your energetic hygiene too. It's taking care of your body. It's taking care of yourself and treating yourself. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I like that one.
I know, right? Especially the massager. Oh, yes.
Okay. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that so let's say you've got the implant, you've got it, you've taken it out with the egg, and you can read the full instructions on the website. But then talk to us about that next step, because there's a lot of pages of these other things called the peripheral energies. So what are those, and why does removing the peripheral energies help more than any other kind of implant removal protocol?
Excellent question. So what going through the peripheral energies does, it gets rid of anything that can reinstate or reinstall the chakras. Now, a lot of people will have forced agreements behind their chakras. Like I had like 5 or 6 of them that were like, people can intentionally put chakras back in me and I have no say in the matter. One of these days we will do forced agreement topics. For now, you can read about it on Laura Lee's website or go to the blog videos that her and I have done, Really Weird Shit on Steroids. We talk about it on there too, about the forced agreements on there. There could also be curses involved with it. There could be permission slips that you gave permission to have these at one point or another. So when you do the peripheral energy protocol, it gets rid of all of those, as well as any backlashes that you might get from getting rid of these. Some people, depending on their missions here on the planet, will have different threats involved with removing forced agreements, chakras, all the whole shebang. So an easy, a common threat that I've seen is, if you do this, then you will lose everything. If you do this, you'll be back to square one on your healing. If you do this, you will lose your job, your home, everything. And that's just one of many different threats. So going through the full peripheral energy implant removal protocol, make sure to cover all of those steps. So like Kelsey's showing it here. Now this is only like one page of the peripheral energies and backlashes. And then there's the second page, and then the restoration steps, which is like one of the most important parts. And it's something that I've never seen in any other implant removal protocol that I've seen in the past. Now, with the restoration steps, this is where you go through and you're literally repairing yourself from all the trauma and debris from the chakras or whatever implant you just removed. And you're taking your power back, and you're basically stepping up your game, and you're demanding or declaring that this is now in place, that this healing is now taken place, it's locked and sealed, and you're ready for the next dish. You're ready for the next vacuuming session or whatever. Yeah, wow. Just looking at it, every time I look at it, it's kind of daunting. There's just so much involved in it. But when you start to read it, it normally only takes like 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't take very long. And if you're going through it slowly and deliberately and breathing through with every different step, the longest I've ever had it take me is just 15 minutes. And when it comes
and
back,
then it could be even shorter too. Once you've done a few of these, like it depends on the person, but once you've done, let's say 10 of these peripheral energies, then you can just say, what do you say if you've done it a couple of times, got it in train? What do you say then?
Depending on the implant I'm removing, because every once in a while there's still one that I'll get where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to pull out my book and read through step by step. But for most of them, I can just turn to the handy dandy little rocks and eggs, and I'll just tell them, all right, put the entire peripheral energy protocol in place now. Go through the full peripheral energy protocol now. And you'll take a minute and you'll just breathe through it and you'll feel it happening. But yeah, it does get that easy after a while.
That's exactly. Awesome. It gets that easy. One thing I do not skip is I always read through the restoration steps though, because it's just so important, and it feels good to do it anyways. And and sometimes if there is a really nasty implant or energy that I found or egregore or something, I'll read through it anyways. Even though I've done dozens of these, I'll still read through it anyways when it feels like a big problem.
Yeah, definitely. And the final restoration steps can also be another part of taking care of your energetic hygiene.
There you go.
Even if you don't do the implant removal, just going through and reading through the restoration steps and doing those for yourself.
Nice.
Just clearing out all toxins and poisons in general throughout the body. Reinstating all appropriate, codes, memories, abilities, powers, even just going through and doing the final restoration steps here is a part of taking care of your energy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, and here's just some examples. Do we want to talk about any of these examples of implants, or should we move on from there?
I will say that there is a lot more than just these. These are just some examples that are very common. But yeah, chakras, kundalini, and the astral bodies. Like it says, these should be your first priority.
And AI is a big one too.
Yes.
Now, that's really, besides that, if we were to go into all of these, we could be here for a few hours.
Well, and Daniel, I do have a question for you. In your blog, you mentioned that there is a 12-day period where people need to kind of get used to this, and you mentioned to some of your clients or friends that you worked with to remove them. If after that 12-day period you still feel like you need them, let me know, and maybe something else is going on. Has anyone ever come back to you after 12 days and said, I want my chakras back?
No, not a single person. And I have helped quite a few people. I would say probably about 50 people get rid of their chakras. I have never once had a single person come back and say, oh, I really miss them, I need them back. I'll even have people who are afraid of doing it at first and be like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready, I don't know if I can do this. Well, and that's why I tell them, if you really feel like you want them back after a while, you can recreate them. You are a creator. If you really, really want to, I like to say you're a co-creator, because if people think they're the only creator, that goes into solipsism, and that's, that's another topic. But, you are a co-creator. And you really do have an influence over your body and who you are. So if you decide you want chakras again, you can. But I only tell people that because it helps ease them. It just makes them more comfortable with the process.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is true, if they really do want them back, they can. But no, I have never had a single person ask, or I've even asked some of the people who were ambivalent about it at first, and all of them have said, I'm never going back. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah.
All right, I have another question. Children, pets, plants, they all have chakras. Can we remove of those groups? What can we do for them? Can we remove kids' chakras? Can we remove our children's? Can we move our plant chakras? Can we move them for our pets? What are the boundaries?
That is an excellent question. Now, when it comes to other humans, if they are, if they're incapable of making the decision themselves because they're too young, or if they have the chance of becoming capable of doing it on their own, I always recommend to have people do their own chakras. Okay, I have helped a couple of people do it, but generally I think it's best for the person to do it themselves. It's kind of an inside job. So when it comes to kids, that's my general rule of thumb. Give them time. You can go through and you can put them in quarantine. You can put those chakras in quarantine and shut them down for your kids. But now if you have someone in your life that is completely dependent on you, and they're never going to go beyond that, then you can ask them on a soul level and see if it's okay. I have had situations where that's happened, and I was given the okay to go through and do it for them. Now, for dogs and cats, animals and plants, if it's one of your pets or one of your animals, 100%, ask them first. I have never had an animal say, no, thank you. I want to keep these. Normally, they're like, okay, I trust you. If you feel like it's best, then that's what we'll do. And then when it comes to plants, plants are normally pretty receptive to it. If you ask them, they'll more often than not just be like, yes, free me, free me. Now, the plant chakra system is a little bit different than it is for us. But Gaia had a chakra system too.
Yeah.
And that was removed. And it's been removed multiple times because people do keep creating them like they do with egregores, right? Like they do with conjured beings and, any sort of like intention magic, right? They have that intention and then they create it. But yeah. So, I've had instances where I've had people come to me and ask me, okay, can I or you take out the chakras from my 18-year-old son that's a drug addict, right? Mm-hmm. Or that has all of these issues going on, or they're a complete earthling, right? They don't believe in magic. They don't believe in any of this. They think all of this is just pseudoscience or a bunch of woo-woo. Can we remove that for them? Now, when that happens, I like to ask, okay, are they actually hurting you or someone else? If they are, and it's caused by the chakras, and there is a lot of gray area in this. There's no one set answer. You have to get a session with me to find out. So, but let's say that they are causing harm to someone else who's younger or innocent. Let's say they're abusive to their pets or their kids, right? And it's being caused by the chakras, or let's say these chakras are just opening up the doorway for these entities to come in. At that point, it is generally safe to say that you will have the permission to do that for them. Because as soon as someone intentionally or unintentionally harms someone else, especially intentionally, if they do it intentionally, they have lost all rights. If they've done it unintentionally, they're normally always coerced, and you want to go up the food chain to see where it's coming from. But yeah. So there is no easy answer for that one. Another amazing question. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah, and it's like the eggs and the rocks, they won't remove somebody's chakra for you if it's not the right time or if it's not appropriate to do so. So we do have that built-in safety with that when working with this. That's good. All right.
Yes.
So step 7, the chakra con is now chakra gone. And we already talked about this, but there's more, and we'll get into this in other episodes. Kundalini, snakes, astral bodies, etc. Okay.
Yep, because we didn't go into those in detail, and there's a reason why they're on the list. Well, I'll just leave it at that. There's a reason why they're on the list. But so long story short for the whole chakra thing, in tradition, we're taught that chakras are here to help us heal through emotional trauma or through physical trauma, physical pain. They're here to help guide us and to connect us in with spirit, with creation. But just because we're taught something doesn't always mean it's right. And we do have to use our own discernment, and we have to really feel into it. Now, if you feel, anyone who's watching this, if you feel like this is accurate and true, but you're ambivalent to have it done, or there's things blocking you, it wouldn't hurt to get a session. It's not the only way to do it, but it wouldn't hurt to really have help to look at what is causing you to not do it. For me, it took 4 years, and there were a lot of reasons for it. For one, I had a lot of addiction to plant medicine. I was a heavy pot smoker. I'm not anymore. I haven't for years. It's no longer a part of my existence, thankfully.
Yay!
But because of that, it was blocking my ability to perceive what was really going on. And there was this backward program where it was if I get rid of the chakras, then I can't blame them for this imbalance anymore. I can't blame them for this issue. So that was my own personal story on it. And then once I realized that, I was like, oh, well, that's some BS. I ain't got time for that. And then I went and got rid of them. And another thing, too, is when people get rid of their chakras, they sleep amazing.
Awesome.
They start to get really, really good sleep at night, especially when they get rid of the astral bodies, and we'll go into that another day. But yeah, this is a huge topic, and there's so much involved. Everything from mind control to manipulation tactics to, genetic brainwashing. It's just such a wide spectrum topic that even if we were to talk about it for hours, there would still be more to talk about. So to anyone who is interested in learning more, I do just want to say, read my blog, read the blogs on Laura Lee's website. There's a few other people I know of, like Tony Sayers and Tom Rafit, I believe. A very interesting character. I don't trust most of what he says, but his information about the chakras is really good. So there is information out there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you don't just remove chakras; you do all sorts of weird shit. So if you're struggling with anything and everything weird, then call Daniel, read his blog, and he can help you out. So, and I'm so glad I met you years ago, and we got my chakras out. I think it's been about 2 years now, and I'm feeling a lot better since then. A lot better. So I'm really glad I did that. When he asked me and he told me about this, I'm just like, yeah, okay, let's get him out of it. So I was pretty quick, but I could understand also feeling the opposite.
Kelsey came to me for a massage, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, you need to get rid of these. And I normally don't do that when I do massage. I normally keep it very earthling, very earth-based, because, try to keep available to everyone. I don't want to scare them off right away. And I'm so grateful I didn't scare you away. I'm so grateful that we're still friends. And I'm very grateful to have you in my life too, as well as the both of you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
I'm
Right
grateful.
back at ya.
Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, when I first saw Daniel, I was like, I know that guy. He's one of my people. And then he turns out he was. He's one of us.
He's one of the
purple person.
So,
Beautiful person.
All right.
all right, Daniel. Well, thank you so much for having us for coming today, and we really appreciate you. And
Thank
see
you
you
for
real
having me.
again soon. We're going to talk. Yeah, and next time we'll talk about the spiral curse reversal ceremony too. So that's going to be a great episode. So look for that in the
Awesome.
Yep. All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay,
As
thank you very
always.
much, everybody. Well, me too.
Bye.
Me too. All right.
Talk for now.
Bye. Bye.